Time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man, how the heck are you? It is Tuesday, December 14th, 2021, and we are ready to rock and roll. We have details on our next trip that's going to cost us episodes of this show. What? That's
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
That's an honest assessment,
You're not wrong.
right?
You're not wrong. That's
You know.
true. Yeah.
We'll tell you about that coming up. We've got to get to what happened on Monday Night Football. Is Steph Curry the best to ever do it? And Jake is apparently very wealthy.
I guess.
Like over the top, I mean hugely wealthy. To the point where he can afford to pay $8,000 for a MacBook.
Okay, 8,000 is probably aggressive.
No, okay, $7,900.
Right.
I mean,
Right. Okay. Sure.
apples to poor people.
It is.
And I know you shun us little people, so we
Little
get
people,
it.
yeah.
Jake's
right.
kind of a big deal.
Right.
As is making trades in the NBA, and we have a lot of interesting discussions going on around the Utah Jazz on whether or not the Jazz are trying to make a deal. So let's hop right in. We've been telling you that Karis LeVert and, frankly, anybody on the Indiana Pacers would be a nice addition for the Jazz. Well, in talking about this for the last week or so, we've been reaching out to our network of sources. And we have it on pretty good information that the Jazz did, in fact, try to trade for Karis LeVert. They inquired about picking up LeVert from the Pacers, and they were pretty much told, well, you don't have the assets, and we're pretty far down the road with another club in the NBA. The Pacers were told, who most people think is the Cleveland Cavaliers, but we'll see. But there's two things that should really stand out to you here when we're talking about Jazz making a trade. That is that their first real target was an athletic wing. And, Jake, they didn't have the assets to get that deal done.
Yeah, and this is the conversation that we've been having, and this is what we've told you guys is going to be the challenge, which is, A, you don't have a lot of flexibility money-wise, but then B, it's not like you're loaded with draft picks or good contract situations to move people around. And so everybody wants to come out on the Jazz and be like, well, they could move Bogey, or they could move Joe, or they could move X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But the problem with all of those guys, through no fault of their own, is that they're paid well. And in the NBA, if you want to execute a trade, all the numbers have to be square. You have to level out on both sides, and everything has to add up. So,
well,
that's
when you're
the difficult part.
when you're paying the luxury tax,
Yeah.
which the Utah Jazz are, when you're paying the luxury tax, you're pretty much dollar for dollar. Things have to add up. You cannot add salary of any kind. You're really landlocked. And now that you have a lot of these trade deadlines from contracts and trades that were made in the offseason, allowing people to make moves, that's why you're starting to see teams like the Indiana Pacers, frankly, hanging an open for business sign out, saying that, hey, we're ready to make deals. And I think if you're the Utah Jazz, you're smart to be out aggressively looking to improve your roster in December instead of waiting until early February. Because frankly, if you wait until the last couple of days of the deadline, it's going to be very difficult if you're the Jazz to get a deal done. I think you're better off early in the market. And now I think, as we've been talking about for several months here,
Yeah.
I think there's no doubt the Jazz are going to have to find a couple of dance partners if they want to make a deal that's going to significantly change and improve the roster as far as athleticism goes, because I just don't see that the Jazz have the pieces. And we've talked about this with Rudy Gobert's contract, Mike Conley's contract. When you're paying that kind of money to guys who do not have, and I want to be careful how I say this. When you pay a guy like Rudy Gobert, who in my opinion is not a championship caliber player, because he's not a well-rounded player. Mm-hmm. I think we've seen that. And when you're paying a guy like Mike Conley luxury tax dollars, it handcuffs you. Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell are the two guys on this team who you can say unequivocally, I can see them winning a championship and being a big part of a reason that a team wins a championship.
Yeah.
Other than that, whether it is Bojan Bogdanovic, whether it is Joe Ingles, Buckets O'Neal, no matter who else you want to talk about on this roster, I don't believe that the Jazz have a lot of value I don't believe they have a lot of leverage with the guys who are currently, on their cap.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think it makes it tough. I think it puts you in a situation as a club where you kind of are saying to yourself, okay, yeah, we've got some nice pieces here that work well together in our situation, but to improve this situation, how do these players fit into the Indiana Pacers situation, or how does X player fit in on X team, and that's what you have to understand about trades. I think everyone thinks that trades are simply just money. They're not just money. I think there's this other side of the conversation where, like, again, the Indiana Pacers, for example, the Indiana Pacers don't really have any use for Royce O'Neal. The Indiana Pacers obviously, have history with Bogey, but at the end of the day, you're not going to go out and make some splash move to get a guy unless it makes sense both financially and for your team. And so when I look at the Jazz, I'm like, man, like this is a team that I feel like truly is like 1 to 2 players away from really being an NBA Finals threat, from being a team that could really run the table here.
Yes.
And so it's just difficult because it's like the carrot dangling in front of you, and I want them to win so bad, but it's just they're in a difficult spot. And the real thing, in some of the media talked about this before the season, that if the Jazz don't do it this year, if they don't win their title this year, it's going to be really difficult for them to really do anything significant for the next couple of seasons because of the luxury tax situation. So that's why there's pressure to do it now.
Yeah, and I also think that when you're talking about the landscape of the NBA, I mean, the West is not going to get easier. It's going to get more difficult. And we've said this for, I feel like 18 months at this point.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at teams like the Golden State Warriors, they're clearly a better basketball team now than they were a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they still haven't gotten James Wiseman and Klay Thompson back, which a lot of people are expecting to happen right around or before Christmas. So they're going to get better. They're going to get more athletic. They're going to get better defensively. And they're already arguably the best team in the NBA. So you're in this difficult spot where the LA Lakers are going to make deals. It's not a question of if with the Lakers. It's a question of when they make a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at what they're out talking about, they're not talking about role players. I mean, when you look at the big guy for Indiana whose name just went Miles Turner. They're talking about Miles Turner.
Mm-hmm.
And if you add Miles Turner to that Laker roster, and if you wind up shipping out a guy like a DeAndre Jordan, if you ship out role players off that roster, the Lakers just become exponentially better.
Yeah.
If you add a guy like Miles Turner that truly pushes the Lakers into, hey, we're going to play a point guard, a shooting guard, 2 power forwards, and a center.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be very difficult to deal with because LeBron James has shown you a couple of things. He has massively improved his shot.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing with his back to the basket, and they're not going to sit around and hope that Anthony Davis turns into the stud that he was 2 years ago, because they're out there. They realize that and everybody called him crazy for doing this.
Yeah.
And this is the issue that we've talked about a lot with the Jazz.
Yeah.
Look at what the Lakers have done. They've accumulated a ton of guys who they don't necessarily need and that have value around the league. And I think this is why you saw them pick up the Nuns, that they've picked up the Bazemores. They've picked up guys that they can move around.
Malik Monk.
They've picked up guys, Avery Bradley.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at a guy like a Talon Horton Tucker.
It's a sweepstakes at this point for Talon Horton Tucker. But I think when you are, and I think your point about the Western Conference getting better is really the extra layer to this Jazz conversation that I think, not that I'm trying to exaggerate, but I think it's kind of terrifying if you're a Jazz fan. Think about it. I mean, you don't have a lot of flexibility. You don't have a lot of assets as for the Jazz, like we were just talking about. But on top of that, in addition to you not being really able to make a big time move, you've got the Lakers, the Warriors, the Suns.
The Clippers.
You figure the Clippers are a dark horse to make a move of some kind.
And by the way, they're going to add Kawhi Leonard back.
So you start piling these teams on, and you're like, okay, right now the Jazz are sitting in the 3 spot, right? They're the 3 seed in the Western Conference, But the real question is going to be what does it look like when February, March, April gets here and these other teams in the Western Conference start to come together? Because what the Jazz have now is their best. Like their roster is not going to change a ton. Like
That's right.
you may see a Bogey deal maybe, or a Joe Ingles deal maybe. But that's a huge question mark if they could get something done.
And I think the Jazz are in a situation where they're going to have to be really creative. And as you've been saying, I think they're going to have to be a third team in a deal.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the way that the conversations are going, I mean, they're trying to get, and let's stay on Karis LeVert because that's who we were told they made the inquiry about. What do they have to offer Indiana? That's the real question. And so when you back up, you ask yourself, okay, if the Jazz don't make a deal, which I don't think is an option, I think you have to make a deal. If the Jazz don't make a deal, you're going into the playoffs very much in the same set of circumstances you did last year. The pieces are a little different. I mean, obviously, Rudy Gay brings a different dimension to you, but does Rudy Gay solve the problems that you had last playoff season? I don't necessarily believe he does. I think obviously he shoots the three very well, right? So he's an upgrade.
He does bring veteran presence in the postseason, so that helps.
And he brings you a little bit, but does he really bring big moment postseason guy? I could argue he does not.
I don't think he doesn't bring. I'm not saying he brings big moment postseason guy who's going to hit some clutch ass shot for you, but I think that for the Jazz last year, their bench was very lackluster. Their bench got exposed last season. They did not have an answer for a lot of the things that these teams were throwing at them. And so I think, at a minimum, what we can say is that, adding just those three players and, Rudy Gay, Hassan Whiteside and Eric Paschall, those three guys at least give Quinn more flexibility.
But what they don't do is address your defensive deficiencies on the wing.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, going back to the Rudy Gobert conversation, is that when you look at the way Rudy impacts a game, that all goes away in the postseason. It is a the regular season is great. And this is what we talked about last year. We're talking about it right now because they're the third team in the West. It's great to be good in the regular season, but you need to be elite in the postseason. And the Jazz don't currently, as they are constructed, have the ability to be, in my opinion, to be elite in the postseason because defensively they don't match up with the top teams in the West. And frankly, what we're seeing out of this Utah now is a team that can't keep guards and forwards out of the paint. And so it minimizes the impact that Rudy Gobert has defensively. Because what you're seeing is teams like, and if you look at a Denver, right, you're pulling Rudy away from the basket. Okay, well, that's what we have Hassan Whiteside for. But how often have we seen Hassan Whiteside and Rudy Gobert on the floor together?
Rarely, if ever.
Very rarely.
Yeah.
But what you're more likely to see, and I know this, every time I say this always pisses off Jazz fans, you're more likely to see Rudy Gay and Hassan Whiteside on the floor together than you are to see Rudy in any of those matchups.
Well, in my opinion, I think that and this is no slight to Rudy Gobert, but I think if we're talking about, defensive creativity, defensive flexibility, the ability to switch at a higher rate, like the ability to cover more
to
ground,
defend the pick and roll.
I think that combo of Gay and Whiteside is a more potent combo defensively than just having Rudy and, let's say, Royce on the floor together, because when you look at Royce O'Neal and you look at Bojan Bogdanovic, those are your two primary wing defenders.
Yes.
And Bogey's first step is slower. I mean, that's not in question. That's not something that's outlandish to say. Everybody agrees with that. And then you look at Royce O'Neal, and yes, Royce O'Neal can play some pretty solid defense for you. But, again, we go back to that Lakers series or even the Memphis series. When you get a superstar on the other team and that other team knows how to get the matchup they want, it doesn't really matter what Royce O'Neal can do. It only matters who your weakest player on the floor is, and that's the problem.
Well, and I think, again, it's great to be a good regular season team. That's important. Home court advantage. Totally get it. It's meaningless in the playoffs. And the game changes so significantly. It turns into a 1v1 half-court game in the postseason.
Yeah.
And it really makes – when you have Terrence Mann attacking Rudy Gobert's chest, That's exactly the issue that the Jazz haven't fixed. That's the issue. And I love that Rudy Gay is here. I mean, I think Hassan Whiteside has been an excellent pickup so far. But how effective will they be in the postseason? And if Rudy Gay and Hassan Whiteside are playing at their highest best use in the postseason, where's Rudy Gobert fit into that picture? Because you can have one or the other. You can't have both. And Rudy is such an important part of your defense that I think it's going to be a real challenge. If you do not change this roster, it is going to be a challenge for the Utah Jazz to improve and make a deep playoff run.
Yeah.
So, and again, I just look at other teams, like other teams have the pieces and the flexibility on their cap to move guys to acquire what ails them.
Well, and you can see what's coming. I mean, if you're the Utah Jazz, you can see what's coming. You can see that a Kuminga trade for the Warriors is there's a high likelihood that they're going to make a move. I mean, there's even been conversations around Wiseman and Miles Turner. So I mean, it's no secret that the Warriors are out here trying to make moves. And I know I keep saying this, but it's what goes through my head, which is it's not that the Jazz are some terrible team.
They're not.
But we're again having this conversation of, hey, how good is this team who wants to win a championship? Can they live up to that? And right now, the formula is not quite there. They're very close, but they're just not quite there.
I think they're 2 players away. I think if you can add either one truly elite wing player, and it's probably a 3-and-D type player. Yeah, I mean, you have a guy in Donovan Mitchell who can carry you.
Yeah.
You have a guy in Mike Conley, if you can keep him healthy.
Which they've done a good job of.
That can be a big part of why you're good. But you cannot get around the fact that whether it's Don, Conley, Bogey, I mean, you pick the Jazz, man. They're not good perimeter defense players. They're not. And, I know that everybody seems to get upset when we talk about trading Royce O'Neal. I'm telling you, he's a vanilla average player.
Yeah.
He is, and it's thrilling and awesome to see him hitting threes. That's not what you need Royce O'Neal to do. And we keep talking about this and we keep having these conversations. It's cool that guys like Royce O'Neal are hitting threes. I need him to be a really good wing defender.
Yeah.
Those days are over. It's cool that Joe Ingles can hit threes and give me 20 minutes a night. I need him to be a really good wing defender. Those days are over.
Yeah.
Right? Rudy Gobert is an elite rim protector who doesn't often get to protect the rim, and especially not in the postseason.
Yeah.
Right? We need him, and we see Rudy working on his offensive game. All I need for the Jazz to do to make Rudy Gobert a more impactful player is to get an elite wing defender.
Yes.
When you add a wing defender to this team, Rudy Gobert instantly becomes a better player.
Yeah, because he doesn't have to do as much, and he can guard the rim more.
And he has more freedom. He has more freedom to lean to the weaker side of the floor.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, now you get back up into a top 10 defensive team, a top 5 defensive team.
Yeah.
That's my point. All right, let's get some of your comments in here. Snuka is your first in. Snuka, good morning to you. Always appreciate you being here. Alex T says another Malone Stockton era, no title. I don't know about era, but if you go back to what we were talking about before the Mike Conley signing happened, the Jazz need to suck it up and be bad for a year.
Yeah.
That's if you want to win. And this team has a guy in Donovan Mitchell who's capable of being the centerpiece of a team that wins 3 championships in 5 years. If you want to be a 3-championship team in 5 years, you're going to have to suck for a year.
You have to get your money right.
You have to get your money right.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest part of that is who you're going to say goodbye to. Because Bogey, Jingles, Buckets O'Neal, those guys are not going to be here when this team wins a championship, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have a roster overhaul. You can build a team around Donovan Mitchell. You can win a championship with Mike Conley. I think most of the other guys on this team, Eric Pascal's here because him and Donovan Mitchell are friends. Yeah. He's not a championship player.
I don't even think that Rudy is I don't think that It's hard for me to say that Rudy Gobert can't be on a championship team because of what he's capable of doing.
But what he can't be, and I want to make this clear, not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert cannot be a foundational part of a championship team.
Yeah, I think he needs to be the back end defensive guy. That's what he needs to be. He can't be asked to do all these extra things. Like the Suns, like DeAndre Ayton's a perfect example of the opposite player of what Gobert would be. The Suns asked DeAndre Ayton to rim run just the same way the Jazz asked Gobert to rim run. The difference is that DeAndre Ayton is an offensive-minded player. So
Correct.
that's where his strengths lie. And so the Suns often lose on the defensive end. So I think my point here is that with DeAndre Ayton or, Jokic or like even an Embiid, like these guys who are more offensive-minded guys, the teams have to get them to work hard defensively, but they're able to make up for that. The problem for Gobert is that because he's defensive-minded and those stats don't, sometimes aren't able to get on the stat sheet, I think that, people just don't see what he's truly capable of. If he had that dynamic wing defender to give him support, he would be a savage, but he's spread way too thin.
Well, and I think the other thing we always come back to on Rudy Gobert is that his big nights are on bad shooting nights for the Jazz.
And that's tough, man.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Excuse me. If the Jazz shoot the three well, Rudy doesn't have huge rebound nights. If the Jazz shoot the three well, he doesn't have 25 and 15.
Yeah.
Like when the Jazz don't shoot well, Rudy Gobert has huge nights because he's an elite rebounder. He understands trajectory. He understands positioning to become a rebounder. Like Rudy Gobert is very good at that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are asking Rudy Gobert to be a foundational piece, and we talked about this, after the game in Philly the other night, when you are forcing your guys to throw him the ball, which the Jazz are now doing, they are telling, hey, throw him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
When you're forcing that, it's not good for the team. The problem, the best part and the worst part, that's probably the right way to say this. The best part and the worst part of the Utah Jazz is that they live and die with the three ball.
Yeah.
And when they shoot 40 to 50% from three, they're unbeatable.
And it's a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah, but they're very difficult to beat.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you live by the three, you die by the three.
Yeah, and there's no other way. That's the thing. I think it's a great point. I mean, when they're dying by the three, when we all know those nights as Jazz, fans or admirers, we all know those nights where the Jazz are shooting 20% from three and don't have it going. It's a brutal existence because they don't really have another way to score. I mean, yeah, Don can get to the line, but Joe's not somebody who's driving by you. Bogey, they try to get, a little bit of bogey on the block. They try to start to get things going, but they don't have that guy like the other night, Kevin Durant going for 50. And there was a game before that where they really just fed him because they were behind. Like the Maverick game last week.
Yes.
In the Maverick game,
yes,
the Nets were really struggling, and they just gave it to KD, and he just carried them to victory. The Jazz don't have that guy, with all due respect to Don.
And the problem for Don at this point in his career is now he's becoming an elite three-point shooter.
Mm-hmm.
So people are taking that away from him. And he hasn't developed that. Like, if you think about Steph, it doesn't matter what you try to do. I honestly think the Pacers had 7 guys guarding Steph last night.
Seriously, dude.
But Steph still got his, right? Don isn't developed enough as a three-point artist, if you will, to be able to do that. This team is just a little behind the curve, and they need to improve.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what this comes down to. All right, let's see. Brandon Whiteside says the Lakers have dollar store players. No one wants their trash. Au contraire. Their players may not be good, but they're all on team-friendly contracts. Everybody in that situation, pretty much outside of Russ,
tradable players.
Yeah, they took a ton less money, to go and be an LA Laker and try and win a championship.
You don't think somebody would want Malik Monk after what he's done this season so far?
Oh my God.
There's no denying that people want Talon Horton-Tucker. There's no denying it.
The question is, look at a guy like, there's a lot of people, Miles Turner's one of them. Another guy that everybody's talking about with the Lakers is Bradley Beal.
Mm-hmm.
If you look
Bradley Beal.
If you look at those guys and you look at what they bring to the table, what are those teams after? Those teams are not after stud players.
Yeah.
They're looking to rebuild. So for the Lakers need to make numbers work. They've got to make the salaries work because of where they are in the salary cap. So you need fill players. If we're going to give you a Talon Horton Tucker, you're going to take Kent Bazemore's deal back to make it work, and then you're going to buy out or play out the string on Kent Bazemore. And then he's a free agent, so next year you have a lot more cap space.
Yeah.
Like, those are the deals the Lakers can make.
But I feel like the Lakers, too, like, are always that team that are in that situation, so they're really nifty and crafty at figuring those things out. You know, like, I feel like some teams, you know, and this isn't particular to the Jazz, but I just think they're, like, if you think about teams that we don't hear a lot about in the trade market, you know, like, I don't know, like, let's say Portland, for example. You know, sometimes they're the third team, but they're not really the team that's, like, out here making a ton of moves. You know, they're not a team that I'd be comfortable saying, yeah, could figure out, you know, a deal real easily.
But look at Ben Simmons. Here's another Laker target, Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
They want Talon Horton Tucker. The Sixers will trade Ben Simmons to the Lakers if Talon Horton Tucker's the centerpiece of a deal. And my guess is the Lakers would do that because the Lakers are struggling a bit defensively. They're not as good defensively as they had hoped to be. The problem for the Western Conference is if they get a Ben Simmons, they're going to make another deal.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to make another trade. It's not rocket science. The Lakers have way more flexibility because of the fact, A, they're the Lakers, and B, a bunch of players want to be there. So a guy like a Ben Simmons, and this is the Buddy Hield trade that didn't happen over the summer. Buddy Hield wants to be a Laker. The Kings don't mind trading Buddy Hield to the Lakers.
It's almost a question of who doesn't want to be a Laker, and that's the advantage. And this is definitely something that the Jazz deal with. There's no doubt about it, and it's not unique to the Jazz either. Like, I think, you know, if you're a smaller team, you're going to deal with it. It just is what it is.
I think the Cavs are dealing with the fact that a lot of people don't want to play in that organization.
Yeah, the Cavs, you know, like any smaller market team. And so I just think that the Jazz will make a move of some kind. It will happen. To what extent, I'm not sure. I'm not confident. I can't confidently say that they're going to move Bojan Bogdanovic for a stud defensive wing. I don't know. Like, you know, a Thibault from Philly would be ideal. That's the kind of guy you're looking for. But that's a lot of money, you know, and I don't know how that would work out. So the point just is that the Jazz, if you're a Jazz fan, you need to be looking for them to make a move, but you also need to be paying attention to what all these other teams are doing because the Jazz may be the 3 seed right now, but it's not really a question of what seed you are right now, is it?
No,
it's a
not.
question of what seed you are when the playoffs begin. When you play that final game, where are you? The Jazz obviously are not going to be a play-in tournament team, but my point is are they still a 3 seed? Are they a 7 seed? Like, where are they? You know, that to me is going to be really important.
I think if the Lakers trade Talon Horton Tucker, if you give a 20-something player, and I can't remember, I think he's 22, 21. If you give a young 20s player, you know, and he's got 2 more years plus an option on his deal, and Talon's got $30 million guaranteed coming, that's a really affordable contract. That's a contract that, you know, if you're looking at like a Ben Simmons, for instance, because we know that Philly wants a young, controllable player.
Yeah.
Philly's
tired of being landlocked.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. I think if you want that, I think that's where Ben Simmons gets moved. You know, if you look at,
but like, is Ben Simmons a championship player? Like, let's say he did go to the Lakers or maybe the Clippers. Like, is he a guy that you're like, yeah, if you add him for defensive purposes, you're, you know, like a juggernaut.
But isn't he the same thing as Rudy Gobert?
I don't think he is.
I think I think for wings, if Ben Simmons was on this Utah Jazz team, we would be having a completely different conversation.
Well, we would. And I guess we're saying the same thing, but we're saying two different things as well. Like I don't think that Ben Simmons, number one, is nearly as limited as Rudy is. Like, Ben Simmons in the NBA can do a lot more for you than Rudy can. Meaning that Rudy is capable of putting up 25 and 15. We've seen it. He does it pretty, consistently, assuming that he's got enough opportunity on the rebound side of things. But like with Ben Simmons is going to cause trouble for you with the other team's best player.
Yes, he is.
And that's the difference. And I think that, last year, let's say that the Jazz had Ben Simmons last year. Paul George wouldn't have done what Paul George did to this team if Ben Simmons was on this team. And that's kind of my point. The Jazz need that guy.
A wing
Yeah,
defender.
dude, you need somebody who's like, you need a 6'6", 6'7"
But
wing defender.
Ben Simmons' best fit is on a team that doesn't need him offensively.
The Utah Jazz.
They don't need him to shoot threes on this team.
No.
The Lakers don't need him to shoot three. The Lakers need him to defend.
Rebound and play point guard.
Portland, well, the reason Damian Lillard wants to play with Ben Simmons is because Dame wants the ball, right? Like, I mean, I look at the way Philly's set up, and that Tobias Harris is their highest paid player is crazy to me.
Yeah, it's wild.
But you're just sitting here paying Ben Simmons $30 million a year.
Well, and you weren't,
and
though.
you haven't traded him.
I mean, you were finding him because he wasn't showing up, so he finally decided to start showing up. So you've saved a bit of money. But I just think, listen, man, I just think that, the trade market is going to be crazy this time because, like last year, like the bubble year, there were some moves made, right? But this time around, it's going to be way deeper, way more aggressive.
And you better watch the Sacramento Kings because I think the Sacramento Kings with De'Aaron Fox, if you look at Harrison Barnes, if you look at Buddy Hield, who's only making, I say only, $23 million a year.
Yeah, but for a guy his caliber, I mean,
that's a manageable number.
Yeah.
That's a manageable number. He's not making, and again, not to keep picking on Rudy Gobert, but he's not making $40 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very, very manageable number.
Yeah.
So, let's see. James Knight says, I feel you judge Rudy Gobert because of his salary. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I do. You're damn right I do.
That's exactly right.
He's being paid two
He's
times
one of the highest
more.
paid players in the NBA.
He's being paid 2 times more than he should be paid. And everyone, the day, let's not forget what we did on the show the day that contract came out. And go back and find it. I really encourage you to. The day that contract got signed, what did we say? This is going to kill them in the trade market. This is going to landlock them. And here we are.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to hate on Rudy specifically because I totally am down with, hey, as a player, you're worth what you can get paid. All the credit in the world to Rudy Gobert and his agent for getting that contract done. That's a hell of a job by them, number one. But number two, for what was Dennis Lindsey to do this deal, I just don't know what Dennis Lindsey was looking at. I'm not sure what his philosophy was. I don't know what you're thinking. Like, I just don't know what he was looking at. To me, and I'll be honest, back then when it was an option to let Rudy walk, I would have let him walk if he was saying to me, hey, 40 or I'm walking. Okay, we'll see you later.
$42 million more than Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, we will see you later, and we will go and spend that money in the free agent market to get better.
He's in totality, he has $205 million.
Yeah, so he's not a guy you're going to be able to move. Not for a while.
And he's 23% of your salary cap, man.
Yeah.
For a guy who gets neutralized in half-court offense.
For a guy that typically is out in the first quarter with 8 minutes left to go. That's how they're playing him right now. And that's why I say, I know everyone's like, oh, well, you guys just hate on Rudy. Well, with all due respect, it's not as though Rudy's coming down on the offensive end and just dominating people. That's not who he is. And again, it's not hate. It's just the situation.
This is why paying Rudy means that $8.8 million a year to Royce O'Neal is a lot of money.
Yeah, and at least with Mike Conley, I can say, okay, I understand where they're coming from on Mike kind of. You're already when you made the decision to re-sign Mike Conley and pay the luxury tax, you were saying to yourself, well, there's not much we're going to be able to do with this roster anyway. So we might as well go and get Mike and give it our best shot,
James says to say he is not a championship caliber player is quite frankly stupid. His defensive value makes up more than adequately for his offensive deficiencies. Only it doesn't.
It doesn't in the postseason.
Because he gets neutralized. All that matters in this game is winning a championship. And for the Utah Jazz, Rudy Gobert was part of the problem last year. He wasn't the solution.
Yeah.
And so we all sit here and we talk about block shots and Rudy. Cool. Those are nice defensive player of the year trophies you have.
Yeah.
I'll take NBA championships instead. And with Rudy Gobert on the roster as it's currently constructed, you're not going to win a championship.
And the thing, the question I have, because we'll have this conversation a million more times, and we'll go round and round, and James and I will call us idiots, and we'll go round and round, and it's fine. This is what we do on the show, right? I'm totally down with it. But at the end of the line here, when we're in Game 6 of the second round against one of the LA teams, and you're down, it's an elimination game for you on the road. Is Rudy Gobert the guy you're going to go to and say, hey, man, win us the game? Before the game, is Quinn Snyder going to Rudy Gobert and saying, hey, man, I need 40 from you tonight?
Yeah, and Bascom Snob, whatever your name is. And by the way, now your comment got filtered because you told us to F off.
That's it, Skippy.
Yeah, you're out of here. But he basically said we're never right about anything. Well, and hey, if that's true, I mean, okay, cool.
We can go. Do you want it?
No, we're not. We're not doing lists on the show of how awesome we are. But I would just remind you, we're awesome and we haven't been really wrong about the Jazz on much, right? I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And we say this every day. If the Jazz win a championship, is that good for our show?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's really good for our show.
There is no question.
So I'd like to see them win a championship. You know what I'm saying? Ryan Buckley says Jazz aren't trading anyone, LMAO. Okay. Brylark says, what's up, boys? Trade Royce and Joe immediately. Tanner says, I fear the Jazz are peaking too early. I'm a little worried that the Jazz keep playing Conley on back-to-backs. If they keep doing this, Conley will probably get hurt in the playoffs again.
Which is definitely a low-key storyline. No one's talking about it.
Water's wet.
They are.
Water's wet.
Yeah.
And Mike Conley's hurt in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell leaves Utah before Utah ever wins a championship, Buckley says.
And that's something that I'm worried about. I truly am. Because if you think about the way this plays out, you know, let's assume, and I think it's a safe assumption, all the haters aside and everything, that they're not winning a championship this year, right? So if you don't win a championship this year, one of these next 3 seasons, you're not going to be good. You're like it because of the money. You're going to be forced. It's not a choice. You're going to be forced into being like a 6 to 8 seed. Like that's just going to have to be.
And it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
This team is good enough if you just get into the playoffs.
But my point is with Don and where he's at with things, we saw how things played out with Devin Booker. The only reason Devin Booker is still a Phoenix Sun is because they did a complete 180, overhauled the entire roster, and then, you know, obviously made the NBA Finals appearance where they lost.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's something to pay attention to.
Greg Hawkins says, I'm starting to believe that the Jazz will be sold somewhere else before they get a championship, if it ever happens at all. Ooh, I wouldn't say that. So hard to be a fan of this team year after year.
It is. I feel, and this is something we talk about too. Like, I feel like the Jazz are the ultimate get to the postseason. We're the best. Everything's amazing.
Yep.
Get eliminated.
Yep.
Like,
I don't disagree. Tanner Plummer says, Hawkins, I love the Jazz, but it's extremely difficult to get hyped for this team year after year of frustrations. James Knight says, Jazz are the number 1 ranked offense in the league. Are the number 1 ranked offense in the league. Why would they need to force feed Rudy the ball offensively? Nah, we're good. I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know, because it doesn't lead to good things. But you can see, and they have talked about the fact that they're trying to get Rudy the ball more. That Quinn Snyder's talked about getting Rudy the ball more.
The reason they're trying to force feed Rudy Gobert the ball is because when he's a presence inside offensively, which again we don't see often, all hating aside, we just don't see it that much. But when he has those games where the first quarter he's got a couple of dunks and he's got some nice moments, you start to see the looks, the quality of the look from 3 goes up.
Yes.
When Rudy Gobert is effective in the paint.
Because he's actually, by the way, he's actually a decent passer as well.
Yeah, and that's starting. So again, this is why I say it's a double-edged sword. Is Rudy Gobert a gifted offensive player? No, he's not. Is Rudy Gobert ever going to be somebody who is going to be your best offensive player? No, he's not.
No.
But on the flip side of that, the Jazz also exacerbate the situation by not giving him the ball and not really including him. Like Donovan Mitchell won't give him the ball. Like we've been watching this play out, and you know, we just see he won't feed him the ball. He's wide open. Hey, buddy, wide open, standing on the basket, won't give him the ball.
By the way, did you exacerbate last night?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
James Knight, why would they need to force in the ball? I'm telling you now, offense is not the problem for the Jazz.
Yeah.
Defensively, they're not very good at all.
Yeah.
They're not. So, and this is why I say, James, I love talking basketball with you, but you want to focus on these things that the Jazz do really well. And I continue to point this out to people every day, I feel like. Continue to do the things you do well, but you better fix your largest weaknesses, especially in professional sports. If your biggest weakness is your defense, you're not going to win.
Yeah.
in any sport. Baseball, basketball, football, footy, you name
Look
it.
at football last night. Why'd the Rams win that game? They stopped the run on defense. The first time they played the Cardinals, they got run all over.
Neville93 says, good morning, guys. Trade Joe. James Knight says, mine is Don and Mike. Thanks for the heads up, Tanner. What did Tanner say? James Knight, Tanner said, remember the Jazz had the number 1 offense in the league last year, and look what happened in the playoffs. Minus Don and Mike. It doesn't. So wait, and I just want to get this right. The Jazz lost that game or lost the Clippers series because they couldn't score? Is that what happened? Because maybe, and I know I don't watch Jazz basketball ever, but are you trying to make the argument, James Knight, they lost the Clippers series because they couldn't score?
No, I think the argument he's trying to make is that Mike Conley was hurt and then Don got hurt, and he's saying that if they had those two guys, they would have won the series.
Yeah, well,
again, it doesn't matter if you would have had those guys. That's the thing. You can't that's what happens in professional sports. It doesn't matter if again, and I'm not trying to be a hard ass about it, but that's the nature of the beast. Like if you're not healthy, are we supposed to are the Clippers supposed to be penalized because
are we going to put the series on hold because Mike Conley got hurt?
And,
no.
and that's my point. And I can't remember who was just saying it. Sorry, I forgot who said it. But them playing Mike Conley on back-to-backs recently is concerning.
It is concerning.
It was great. The first month to 6 weeks of the season, you were not playing him on back-to-backs.
Don't say it.
But then
don't open up the Jared Butler can. Whoop ass. Don't do it. Rylark says the success of the season will solely be determined on what happens at the trade deadline. I agree.
I think. Listen, I think that your fate in the postseason is largely sealed already. And what I mean by that is unless Justin Zanuck in this front office works magic and makes a splash acquisition, I'm talking about, year in, year out, all-star level player, your fate is probably sealed in the postseason already. And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but that's just where this team is at.
Yep.
So
Tyler P says, however we feel about Gobert, the Jazz are not a playoff team without him. I don't disagree with that. I think it, as a regular season player goes, this is why he's in the MVP conversation.
Yeah.
He's top 20 in the MVP conversation. Okay, that's cool. But you don't win championships in, March. You win them in June. And he has been largely the guy's not a factor in the playoffs. Offensively, defensively, and I shouldn't say he's not a factor. He is a liability in the playoffs. In that Clippers series, Rudy Gobert was a liability.
He was
by
the
no
point
fault
of
of his by no fault of his own.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert is a liability because the Jazz, and this is the other thing I want to point out about Rudy Gay. We all talk about, oh, well, the Jazz have Rudy Gay, they can play small ball. So that means that Rudy Gobert is not going to be on the floor. So are you saying they're better without Rudy Gobert on the floor?
I mean, what would you prefer? Would you so if we use the Clippers series as an example, would the outcome have been different, all things equal, if it was Hassan at the 5 and Rudy Gay at the 4 versus what they had out there before? I can't definitively say that it would have been a different result.
I again say Rudy's not the problem defensively. The problem defensively is they need better defensive wings.
Yeah.
The Utah Jazz can't keep my grandmother, who's dead and has been so for a decade, in front of them on defense.
Yeah.
And my grandmother has no handle. And she's still dunking all. Never mind, I'll stop. She's dead. Let's see. Comment dump. Appreciate you. Alex T says, I agree with you guys. The Nye guy says Gobert is fine getting garbage around the rim. Lobs are fine, but please do not give Gobertovich the ball in the post. Okay, Nye guy, I'm with you. James Knight says, hey, I would never call you idiots, Jake. It's just a difference of opinion.
I just think, and I know, I'm not saying that you're attacking us. I'm just, I was just,
Jeremy Bolton says, good morning, gents and everyone. What's up, Bolton? Where you been?
What's up, buddy?
Tyler P says, Barnes incoming. I'm telling you right now.
See, that's
Harrison
a guy.
Barnes is a perfect guy.
Yeah.
Oh, the Jazz don't have the assets to get him.
Yeah.
Because I think Harrison Barnes is going to be one of the hottest commodities on the trade market.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Sacramento Kings, not to be redundant, I think the Kings could have one of the biggest impacts in the trade market. I mean, they've got 3-4 guys that they could move today if they really wanted to.
Yeah.
Jazz ranked fifth defensively. So, but again, when you look at, and this is what Quinn has been talking about. Hey, it's cool that we're X, Y, and Z, but to win, we need the 3-ball to go in.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you look at their defensive ratings, that's all well and good, but you got to keep guys out of the paint.
And by the way, and I'm not trying to penalize the Jazz for winning these games because, frankly, it's great to see them winning and being the 3 seed. But you haven't exactly played a difficult schedule up until this point. So, like, all the, hey, we're 5th in the league defensively and we're a top blah offensive team. Like, none of those, I don't even start looking at that stuff until the new year. Like what are you going to be when you, in January, when you're playing playoff teams, when you're playing the Suns and the Clippers and the Lakers and the Warriors, when you're playing these teams that you're potentially going to see in the second round of the postseason, because they're gonna win the first round, like they will. The second round is where you start to see quality opposition.
But it's interesting you bring that up. Would you want to see Memphis in a first round series this year? Nah, I'm fine. I don't want to see.
Gritty ass team, dude.
I mean, that's a different team now. So the West, continues to get better. And I just say defensively, I mean, Rudy Gobert is never going to be your issue defensively.
Yeah.
I mean, he just isn't. The matchup game, your inability to defend the perimeter is the issue defensively for this team. And so, as we talk about Rudy, I again will say I do think that he is a guy that you cannot count on offensively. I think his offense comes on bad nights for the Jazz shooting.
It comes situationally. It comes by happenstance.
But defensively, Rudy Gobert, when Rudy Gobert struggles defensively, it's not on him. It's because he's trying to defend 5 other guys.
Yeah.
And you're asking him to do too much. That's the best way. And I think it was Tony Jones I heard say this on ESPN 700. You're asking a great defensive player, an elite defensive player, arguably the best defensive player in the NBA in Rudy Gobert, you're asking him to do too much defensively. And so when he winds up on a switch with Terrence Mann in the corner, that's not Rudy Gobert's fault.
Yeah.
Now, it is what it is. It's reality, and Terrence Mann tortured him with the 3-ball, and then he went and dunked on him. Like, that was a catastrophe.
Well, and I think that what we also know is that before the game, it was part of their strategy to leave Terrence Mann open in the corner. The Jazz made a decision, a business decision before that game. Hey, we're going to protect the rim, and if we lose with Terrence Mann shooting the 3-ball to high rate in the corner, we're going to live and die by that. And he made the shots. It is what it is.
James Knight says, I think the Jazz should play more zone. Well, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because zone requires good perimeter defense, right? So what a zone is set up to do is to keep guys off the rim, right? But the problem with that is that the Jazz have trouble in how you, by the way, not to be too simplistic about it, how do you defeat a zone defense? And let's just say you're playing a 2-3, which is what you play in the NBA, but you could play a box and one sort of, but whatever. You're, as an offensive player against a zone, your guards need to dribble penetrate.
Yeah.
And either finish at the rim or kick to the corner.
The ball needs to get to the middle of the floor.
And the Jazz are horrific at defending the paint.
Yeah.
They are not good at keeping guys out of the paint. So, but what does that allow you to do? Well, it allows you to filter guys down into Rudy, but you have a guy, and this is the Royce O'Neal conundrum. Royce O'Neal is a guy that everybody puts up as this great elite defender who has zero discipline on weak side help. The guy collapses so quickly. You're not, in my opinion, with the roster that you have now, you're not going to teach somebody to be disciplined, right? I mean, Bogey is who he is. Royce is who he is. Joe is who he is.
Everybody is.
You're not going to teach these guys to play a different style of basketball now. So I think you're asking a lot out of guys like Royce O'Neal to all of a sudden become a disciplined zone defender.
Yeah.
I think what you have to do is you have to go and get a guy that's an elite defensive player on the perimeter who is not going to consistently get beat off the dribble. Because that's the other thing that guys like, and Donovan's guilty of this as well, they almost soft pedal that one-on-one defense because they believe that Rudy's going to be there. And too often, Rudy is slow on the help side, so he's getting compromised at the rim. Yeah. That's not his fault.
Yeah.
You're just asking him to do too much. Rudy Gobert's not your problem defensively.
Yeah.
by any way, shape, or form. Tyler P says they got Clarkson for Exum, so I wouldn't say they don't have assets. The Kings are dumb. Well, if you look at what you have now, who's the tradable piece? So if you're just finding the show right now today, the Jazz, we're told, made overtures for Karis LeVert, who would be a very good fit on this team, in my opinion. But Karis LeVert is a guy that the Indiana Pacers want to trade. The Pacers have about 4 other teams chasing Karis LeVert.
Mm-hmm.
Miles Turner is, I think, probably their best asset. Him and Sabonis, I think, are going to be gone for sure. But the Pacers didn't have desire for anything that the Jazz had to offer. Because if you are the Utah Jazz, you don't have draft assets to offer. You do not have young talent expiring contracts outside of Joe Ingles to offer. So what exactly are you going to offer the Indiana Pacers in a head-up deal for Karis LeVert?
Yeah.
Because they're probably not taking Jared Butler for Karis LeVert. And are you really going to trade Jared Butler already? I mean, you don't have the assets to go and get a Karis LeVert. Now, a Jordan Clarkson's an interesting guy. When you got Jordan Clarkson, did anybody know he was this guy? The Jazz have kind of created this situation for Jordan Clarkson. They've done a great job with it.
Yeah.
Right? Who's that player that you can go and do that with? I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Because you're going to probably have to be the third team in a big trade to get some help. Because I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. And Tyler, I hope you're right. You know, and he says Bojan, Royce, and Joe are all tradable. But for what?
They are tradable, but making the numbers work is what's tough.
You're in the luxury tax, so you have to match salaries. You cannot take on salary. So if you're trading Joe Ingles on an expiring contract, what's the real value in that? Who are you? You can't afford, and I doubt any team out west is going to make the the Jazz better. Right? The Jazz and the Lakers are not making a Talon Horton-Tucker deal.
No.
Right? So if you look at the teams out east, you would think that the Nets are going to have to make a deal. Who knows what happens with Kyrie, although I guess there's this organic vaccine that he's going to take now. Whatever the hell that means. But if you look up and down the Eastern Conference, yeah, sure, there are teams. Cleveland's open for business.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got young guys. Right? Okay, so Indiana, they've got veterans who can help you, but they want young guys in return. So there's not an obvious fit. You're not probably involved in a Ben Simmons trade as a direct, player. You're probably a third or a fourth team to balance. And if you're not a third team, you shouldn't be in that deal at all.
Yeah.
All right. So now I'm like, okay, what are the Knicks are said to be looking to add a piece or two. They could always use more 3-point shooting, right? Okay, well, but what do you want? They don't have a great wing defender. Are the New York Knicks going to take a Bojan Bogdanović?
No, probably not.
Probably not. Probably not a guy that fits what they did. There's just not an obvious one-up deal like the Washington Wizards. I don't know how they wind up making a Bradley Beal deal, but maybe you can be a third team.
Yeah.
I'm not what are you going to send to the Sacramento Kings for Harrison Barnes that they're not going to get twice as much for? That's the problem. That's the issue, is you don't have guys that are in demand or even that are even attractive. Bojan Bogdanović is a guy that can finish a championship team. That's a guy where, hey man, if you are, he fits in well in Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. Certainly fits in well in Milwaukee, right? But what are they going to give you? I don't know. I mean, clearly one of the other things that we hear the Jazz are out for is a backup point guard. Why don't you just play Jared Butler?
Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah. All right, a couple more because we got to get to the NFL. Jeremy Grant would be a good target. Yeah, except his hand fell off. Teddy Wayman says the Jazz should trade Bogey straight across for Jeremy Grant. Listen. Jeremy Grant would be amazing. Well, one, he's hurt, and two, he's making a pile of money.
Yeah.
It makes it very difficult. I mean, he'd be great. He'd be a great addition.
Yeah, but you already have you can't have, Gobert, Whiteside, Jeremy Grant. Like, how many bigs are you going to have on the team? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, so wait. Brandon Whiteside says trade Oni for talent Taylor Horton Tucker. Trade Oni for Talon Horton Tucker equal trade value.
no.
Talon Horton Tucker is.
Dude, you don't know who Talon Horton Tucker is.
Yeah, if you think that Oni and Talon Horton Tucker are equal players, you don't know Talon Horton Tucker.
Yeah. Sorry, man. All due respect.
It just is. It is what it is. Because Quinn loves Forrest like he loves Niang. Loved Niang. Yeah, boy. Yeah. Trent Forrest is never going to be a Hall of Famer.
Well, because he's already in the Jazz Hall of Fame.
I mean, he's an all like we're going to retire. Anyway. It is what it is. All right, let's talk NFL real quick because we're already an hour into this show.
I know. We're out of time already, bro. Let's get it moving.
Best team in the NFL, Packers.
Yeah. Right now it's the Packers, probably. But I don't know, man.
No.
I think that this.
Why do you say hurtful things like that?
I think the situation last night with the Rams, that was a flex. That was.
Don't you mean Rams house?
Yeah, sure. Rams house, sure.
That's there. Do you not know what that is? That the Rams hashtag emoji on Twitter is Rams house.
Okay.
Which I think is one of the stupidest hashtags I've
ever
heard for an NFL team.
Yeah.
Like Red Sea for the Cardinals, totally
get it. We get it. Right.
Anyway.
Go Hawks.
Yeah, we get it. It's the Seahawks. We get it. Anyway, so
it's fine.
I just thought that was an impressive win last night out of the Rams. You're on the road, you stop the run, like you do everything you wanted to do. So like they have to be in the conversation on some level. But I think right now, best teams in the league, I think the Patriots got it going. I think.
What about the? You see, and here's one of the big conundrums in the NFL. What about the Kansas City Chiefs?
What about them?
There's something not right there.
No,
I mean obviously, and I just find myself watching a lot of Chiefs games because they're a very good team. So they're
they're the Chiefs and stuff.
They're fucking Chiefs.
Yeah.
But not Patty Ice is a guy that he doesn't have that same edge he had. So I don't put the Chiefs there. I think the number one team in the NFL right now is the New England Patriots just because of the way Mac Jones is playing. I think Tampa is number 2. The Packers are number 3. And then honestly, I think I would take either the Rams. I want to say the Tennessee Titans.
No.
But
no.
Yeah.
The Cardinals have to be in the conversation, even though they lost.
I don't put them there. I think Kyler Murray. I think a little P comes out in the biggest moments. Is that? Can I say that?
I'm for real.
Yeah, I am for real. I can say that on the show, right?
A little P came out.
A little P came out.
You can say that. Yeah.
I think when he gets nervous, and he makes those bad decisions. Very good at home.
Well, first of all, he's really short. So when you're trying to throw over a 6'8", D end who's in the flat, that's probably not a good idea.
I don't understand this.
Oh,
Why
boy.
are you picking on him being short?
Okay. So that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, it is. That's how it's going to be. Yeah, because
little
you know what?
people have rights too.
Listen, verticality was dog crap last night.
He was not good.
He was not good. Turned it over.
At all.
Nope.
I think I agree, Night Guy. We all know the league wants a Bucks-Pats Super Bowl.
Oh, they do. 100%. There's no question about it.
I don't think we're getting that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what we deserve is a Bucks, either Bucks Cardinals or Bucks Rams NFC Championship game.
Well, that's your Super Bowl.
That's what we deserve as football fans.
Rams or Cardinals?
Rams.
I
think the Rams.
Rams or Packers?
Rams because of the defense. The defense for the first time last night had it going.
Okay, Packers or Rams?
You just asked me that.
I know. I was asking it backwards.
Rams.
So Rams or Bucks? The way Leonard Fournette's playing, man.
In an NFC Championship game, I'm not betting against Tom Brady. I'm not.
I'm
not doing it.
Do you understand how much money would go to the Bucks side on that?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude. I'm not betting against Tom in an NFC Championship game. I'm not.
All right, I'm gonna say the best team in the NFL right now is the Patriots.
Okay.
But you have a young quarterback, Mac Jones. I think the second best team is man, that's hard to say. Rams and Bucks is a really difficult call.
Yeah, I want that.
that Rams defense to play that well without Jalen, to play that well with all those guys on the COVID list.
Mm-hmm.
Your top 2 cover corners are out last night. Your Leonard Floyd playing that kind of coverage.
We have ESPN on in the background. The spread of the MVPs in the NFL is ridiculous.
It is.
Tom
It
at
is.
minus 180. The next closest is plus 600.
Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, Jesus.
I hate Aaron Rodgers.
My
so
God.
much. And look, I guess I should respect Aaron. I don't. I mean,
Why would you respect him?
he's just number one. He's an asshole.
Yeah, I've been immunized.
Yeah, I'm sure you haven't.
Douche.
Number one, he's just a jerk.
Yeah.
Right.
He
and
is.
I know he's Aaron effing Rodgers, and
He
he's
is
this
an
guy,
asshole, dude.
But Aaron Rodgers he just has become so unlikable.
You're Aaron fucking Rodgers.
Right? Like, and I get that.
Yeah.
I totally get you're one of the best quarterbacks in the regular season. You tend to choke
Notice the caveat.
Yeah, you tend to, you S on a D in the postseason. I
Yeah.
totally get it.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, he's just unlikable.
he is.
I know Packer fans who don't like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
It's bizarre to me. He is just so unlikable.
And that's why I say I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers versus TB12 in the NFC Championship game. TB12 beat that Aaron Rodgers ass with Scotty Miller, somebody we've never heard of, bro.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see. Jeremy Bolton says, I want Jack in the Box versus a Cafe Rio Super Bowl. Oh, Jack in the Box running
We
away
still
with
haven't
that.
had Del Taco.
The Night Guy says, I know you guys hate this, but the Bills were screwed hard. Oh, come on.
Here we go.
The Bills were screwed hard in the Bucs game. Those calls, no calls, were NBA officiating bad. Officiating, how was that not a face mask on Stafford last night?
Yeah, don't know.
Right? Like,
Don't know.
they didn't call it.
Yep.
Right? Like, I think officiating in every sport, look at what happened in F1 this weekend.
Yeah.
Officiating in every sport sucks. By the way, did you see your boy Michael Massey's on the hot seat now? Looks like he's
no.
going to get whacked. Do you know who that is?
I can't remember.
The head official in F1.
Oh.
Cafe Rio would totally win if they had Cam Rising, though, Jeremy Bolton.
Well,
Yeah, hey, how about
whoa.
How about quitter quarterback going to Liberty?
Yeah, what a joke.
Noodle arm.
Who should Jacob Conover play for?
Your mom. Eric DeVera says Rams are more consistent in late game toughness compared to the Bucs.
And the Cardinals.
And I think the just the diversity in defensive scheme that they bring to the table, the Rams,
Yep.
they're good.
Yep.
They're good.
Yep.
All right. Well, we forgot Steph.
Yeah, we don't have time today. Tomorrow. We don't. It's 35, dude. We don't have time,
You
bro.
can't tell me that this dude wasn't saving it for the Garden tonight.
He was. Oh my god, dude. He wasn't, bro. He took. What did he take? 14 threes last night, and he needed 3. He took what he always takes. What do you mean?
Steph sucks.
No, he doesn't.
Steph sucks.
Your mom sucks.
Yes, she does. She does.
Facts.
I ain't gonna, Jeremy Bolton says Steph was totally saving it for the Garden.
No, he
Yes,
wasn't.
was.
No, he wasn't.
But they had 5 guys on him. And, he was saving it for the Garden.
No, he wasn't, dude.
And if he wasn't, he should have been.
He wasn't.
He will add to his lore by doing it at the
He will.
at Madison
He
Square
will.
Garden.
He will.
Dude knows exactly what he was doing. Yeah. Yes.
Y'all are haters, bro. Y'all are hating.
Austin Lewis says Rodgers is the NFL LeBron.
Yep.
James Knight says, great show, guys. Too late. You still haven't sent me my 4X gold. The Nye guy says Cardinals coaching is bad. I don't know. I like Cliffy. I actually think that Kyler Murray was a problem last night.
Yeah, Kyler just made bad decisions.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. Totally agree. Tanner Plummer says, your mom sucks. LOL. Jake, that's your grandma you're talking about. Yeah, but what's your point?
yeah.
All right. You want to talk about your $1 million investment?
Okay. Here's the topic. What do you like to spend money on? What do you not like to spend money on? I spent a bunch of money on this new computer so that we could put out more content more quickly.
38?
$3,500 basically.
$3,500
$34.99. Yeah. Payment plan, 0% interest over a year.
35.
$250 a month basically.
35 hundo.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
It's a nice unit, bro.
I have a nice unit.
Well,
And I got it free from God.
I'm a fucking unit.
I am, dude. I totally am. Carbon Beach says, what brand? Well, it's a
MacBook Pro, baby.
Look at the thing sitting on his
look,
desk.
Do I have
How
to,
can you not?
Do I have to like flop it out more, or what are we talking about here? Come on.
I mean, look at the size of that thing.
Do we need to get the tape measure out?
It's a freaking unit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got the new MagSafe your mom on it. It's got
the
chipset.
M1 Max chipset. It's
M1 Max
16,
chipset. We're over here writing nuclear code.
Yeah,
yeah. Gonna have to get that MagSafe chipset and M1, M2, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What are you willing to pay for? So I don't mind spending my money on technology.
Okay.
I don't mind spending my money on travel, which we're going to talk about in a second. And I don't mind spending my money on cars.
Okay.
What I hate spending my money on is things that are single use.
Okay.
So I've stopped buying plastic bottles of water because,
Yeah.
And by the way, does anybody not believe in global warming?
Dude, it's not good. Like, it's not good right now.
Speaking of Sacramento, did anybody see that they got their most precipitation ever in one day yesterday?
Yeah, it's lit.
Like, the highs are higher, the lows are lower. There's no in between. Nah, global warming's not real. So I don't like buying single-use plastic. I hate paying for gas. I think it's a freaking joke.
Mm-hmm.
And I think insurance is one of the biggest scams in the world.
It is.
I'm happy to pay for Jordans. I'm happy to pay for travel. I'm happy to buy a new snowboard. I am not happy to pay for gasoline.
Okay. Well.
I think that about covers it.
Yeah. I think I'm in the same boat. I think I share a lot of those same things. The insurance thing is tough because I feel like if you have a nice car, you got to have really good insurance.
The Nye Guy says cocaine and ladies of the night is what he spends his money on.
Well.
David Mina Dominguez says Gobert should play football so he learns how to catch a ball. Truth.
Seriously.
Jeremy Bolton says, do I have to flop it out more? Phrases Jake says on date 2.
Good.
Giggity says Jake is always trying to flop it out. Flop out his unit.
Yeah, you know what it is.
I like it, Jake. It looks good. You
Thanks.
just said
that's what they all say.
Tanner says your unit looks good.
I'm a fucking unit.
Yeah, Tanner says your unit looks good, man. Okay. How about food, Monty? That's usually single use. Okay, well, but see, the way New Year's Eve
Yes.
is probably a $500 bill.
What about this Saturday? What do you think that'll be?
Yeah, we're going to an interesting spot Saturday night for Jake's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even remember the name of it.
It's like the Harvest something,
No, it's not.
or the
No.
Heart, or
No.
it's like an H, I think.
No, it's not. Where is that MFer? We're going to a steak and seafood house. Oh my God, I can't remember the name of it. Harbor Seafood and Steak.
Yeah.
We're going to Harbor Seafood and Steak.
Yeah. Told you it was with an H.
I don't mind paying for that. But usually on the regular, what did I had Heritage Flakes and toast for breakfast yesterday.
Butthole.
Yeah, butthole. For lunch yesterday, I had brown rice and quinoa with shredded chicken. Quinoa. But it's not single use because the food you eat replenishes your body. I'm an effing unit because of the food I eat. So it's not really single unit. It's not really single use. When I say single use, it's like
bottled water.
Bottled water.
Yeah.
I hate buying a single can of Rockstar at Maverick because it's a single use, so you're paying way more money for it.
Right.
Those are the things I hate buying it for. Jeremy Bolton says, via Tanner, I have a question.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so Jeremy Bolton in the Tanner Plummer voice. Hey, guys, I have a question. Guys. If you could be any single computer component in 1995, what would it be? Fucking Bill Gates' sperm so that I could be born his child and take all of his money. That was probably too much. Greg Hawkins says, LMAO, Jeremy. Tanner Plummer says, Bolton, once again, I don't ask questions like that. Hey, guys, I'm just curious. So the 1972 Utah Jazz, do you remember their shooting percentage? Okay,
next question.
I'll wait. Those are Tanner Plummer questions. You know what I mean? That's it. Tanner says, in the Tanner Plummer voice, question mark, go screw yourself. guys. David Domingo says it's too early for this. Probably is too early for this.
We're not we've never even heard Tanner Plummer speak. And now there's a Tanner Plummer voice on the show.
I've never spoken to Tanner Plummer.
Y'all want to play?
Yeah, we tweet with Tanner.
Yeah.
And stuff. And now there's a Tanner Plummer voice. Cafe Rio or McDonald's chicken nuggets. Guys, what's your favorite Happy Meal toy? I remember when I was 4.
That's it, Skippy.
One of the best drops ever. That's it, Skippy. Oh, my God. Jeremy Bolton. Guys, if you could screw yourself with a lady from the Bears 84 team defensive line, who would it be?
Pack your shit. Let's go.
You're out of here. The Nye guy says Jake's unit and Tanner's nerd questions. Going to be a great day today.
I'm a fucking unit.
Exactly. Eric Tavera says, why don't you ask where Growcock is?
Yeah.
Hey, guys. Do you know where Growcock is?
Nope.
He's growing his cock. What do you want?
Okay. So that's how it's going to be.
Tanner Plummer says Happy Meal toy. I bet if anyone else asked that question, you'd be okay with it. Probably. Tanner, James Knight says your mom's calling you. Go ride your BMX home. Oh my God. See, the thing is, but Tanner, it's
just a joke, dude. It's not.
We love you, dude.
I mean, seriously, it's not.
Brylark says Tanner doesn't deserve this.
No, he does not. He does not. I mean, he really does not. And I don't know. He does. Yeah, he doesn't, dude. At all.
Tanner's getting upset. He says, David Mina Domingo, screw you. Okay.
Tanner, we love you, bro.
Because David Mina Domingo said Tanner Plummer is the kid with glasses from Polar Express asking, hey, guys.
Polar Express.
Hey, you know what kind of train this is? Could be.
Tanner, I'm so sorry, bro. I'm sorry, man.
Jeremy Bolton says, Tanner, we love you, but you done messed up.
Bro.
Are you out of your goddamn mind?
The Nye guy says Tanner's a stud, but I admit I peed a bit. James Knight says last nerd won an Xbox in pity, Tanner. How about this Xbox thing? I'll give this if you get Jake and I both to 1,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
People are complaining it's taking too long for us to give away this Xbox, which is true.
We'll give you more options. Options.
Right now I'm at like 958 on Insta.
Yeah.
Right? 954. Oh, I lost some. Okay, I'm terrible.
Yeah, douche.
But
I'm at 896 because I'm a unit.
Oh my God, you need 104 followers on Instagram.
Come on, let's go, Schlep Rock.
Yeah,
Sorry,
let's
man.
do this.
Sorry, dude.
Jake is SLC Supercars on Instagram.
It's not hard to find me.
I am the Monty Show. MONTY the Monty Show.
I use Instagram a lot. Like I use it on a daily basis.
Multiple times every day.
Yeah.
All right, should we play the Liz Cheney thing? We've got like 5 minutes.
Sure.
This will piss a bunch of people
off. This is not going to be.
So while you're listening to this, do you watch Fox News or CNN? My answer is neither. I don't watch the news anymore. But I want you to hear, so you know this January 6th insurrection bullshit panel thing is happening? So they're trying to get Mark Meadows, the former chief of staff for the bright orange Twitter machine, I believe, as Tanner Plummer refers to our former president. They're trying to get Meadows to testify.
It is the tangerine
Twitter machine. Thank you. So
they're trying to get him to testify.
So they asked him to turn over text messages from January 6th. He did, and it turns out that Fox News was heavily invested in Donald Trump and was very clearly a mouthpiece for the White House, because here's Rep. Liz Cheney, an outcast in the Republican Party, reading those text messages.
According to the records, multiple Fox News hosts knew the president needed to act immediately. They texted Mr. Meadows, and he has turned over those texts. Quote, Mark, the president needs to tell people in the Capitol to go home. This is hurting all of us. He is destroying his legacy, Laura Ingraham wrote. Please get him on TV. Destroying everything you have accomplished, Brian Kilmeade texted.
Brian Kilmeade.
Quote, can he make a statement? Ask people to leave the Capitol, Sean Hannity urged. As the violence continued, one of the president's sons
Listen to this.
texted Mr. Meadows, quote, he's got to condemn this shit ASAP. The Capitol Police tweet is not enough, Donald Trump Jr. texted. Meadows responded, quote, I'm pushing it hard, I agree. Still, President Trump did not immediately act. Donald Trump Jr. texted again and again, urging action by the president. Quote, we need an Oval Office address. He has to lead now.
All of them knew there was trouble.
Yeah, dude, and this
So-
is my thing. Everybody knew what was going on. Everybody in that room knew what was going on and did nothing about it. And I'm not somebody who's Democrat, Republican, conservative, like I don't get into all that crap.
No.
All I get into is, hey, we just had, hundreds, in the hundreds of people storming the Capitol. For what? For what? That's my problem.
Mighty Rhiannon says, worst general conference talk ever.
On BYU Radio.
I think the sad thing about this is it shows you the president knew what was going on, but
Yeah.
it also shows you that Fox News got manipulated during that administration.
Yep.
And I think that you just can't trust what's coming off the TV right now, and it's really sad.
Yeah.
You know, like whether it's the Chris Cuomo scandal at CNN where Chris Cuomo was fired because, he was lying about helping his brother, the degenerate alleged sex abuser, Governor Cuomo. You just can't trust anything that comes out of the TV.
And that's why I don't watch TV news anymore.
It's really, really frustrating.
Yeah.
Really frustrating.
Because they all have an agenda.
And it's not a Republican-Democrat thing. It's really frustrating that we as Americans, A, are divided, but B, we're divided through intentional misinformation that we've allowed to happen. And I wish that we just could come together on it.
Yeah.
But these texts,
It's wild.
it is what happened on January 6th is wild. That's the best way.
It's embarrassing.
But do you care? Do you want to know? Do you care?
Yeah, I want people to pay the price for that. I want guys like Mark Meadows to do their time for it. Because to just the idea, the very fact that Donald Trump is going to run again is a complete disgrace to this country. No matter what your political stance is, he knew what he was doing in inciting that day. Like, he knew what was going on, and that's my problem. It could be, if Joe Biden did that, I'd be saying the same thing, dude. We can't have a bunch of violence going to the Capitol, and that's not the kind of country we live in, dude. And I'm tired of, oh well, you're a libtard and you voted for Donnie, so you're an idiot. Like, we need to stop all that stuff, dude. I'm so tired of the hey, I need to attack you because of your stance versus just talking about it.
Bradlark says, my coworkers didn't believe me that every news station has an agenda. Oh,
they do.
Are you kidding me?
They do.
Every news station. Tanner, what are you doing?
Uh-oh.
Tanner says, besides the Luca's mom comment, what else have I done to piss all of you off?
Tanner,
Guy, relax,
dude.
man. It's fun. We're just
See,
having
this is
fun.
why you can't do that.
Tanner, we're just having fun. Usually it's me that is the butt of the jokes, or Jeremy Bolton, because he has some ungodly obsession with Jaron Hall's mom, and Alex Caruso. But
Yeah,
it's Jake for taking his glasses off. Like, it's just, that's what this show is, man. It's a good time.
Yeah, I get ripped all the time
Yeah.
for breaking up over text, allegedly. So,
I don't like the way,
it
I
is.
just don't like the way you treat women,
Well,
Jake.
that's what it is. I'm sorry.
I'm kidding. By the way, you're taking this girl snowboarding Saturday.
I am. Yep.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about what?
Me bringing her along.
I don't have a problem with it.
Uh-huh.
It was nice knowing her.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, the end of that relationship is coming quick.
Oh, by the way, we should probably make the announcement about next week. We decided yesterday that we're going to go to Lake Tahoe next week. Tanner, why don't you come with us next time? We're going to North Star next week to snowboard Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do a show next week. Tanner says, sorry, I just lost my temper.
Tanner,
Night Guy says,
please.
much love, Tanner. It's all good, man.
If you guys ever want to kick it, we'll flow.
That's a lie. Jeremy Bolton says, we're not mad at you, Tanner. Hey, I get roasted daily for my Caruso hating Jaron Hall's mom, but I'm 100% correct, however. That's true. That's correct.
Yes.
Like I'm like talking in your voice, Tanner. It's like an
And we don't even, but the point is we don't even know what your voice sounds like. That's the funny part about the whole thing.
Mighty Rhiannon says, for me, I prefer PBS NewsHour, less discernible bias than other outlets.
But see,
That's true.
the thing with PBS is I feel like I'm watching grandma's news, dude. It just is. It's slow. It's like
Yeah.
And that's why I say I'm just not a TV news guy. I'm not.
Good. I appreciate you guys following me on Instagram.
Yeah, bro. You guys just
Look at
popped
people
out like
lighting it up.
seven follows or whatever.
Yeah, The Monty Show, MONTY, The Monty Show to follow me on
Bro,
Instagram.
I'm at 899. Can one more of you guys just follow me real
Get
quick?
Jake to 900. Come on.
Come on. Stop
Come on.
teasing me.
Come on.
Stop teasing me.
See teaser. Yeah, so your girlfriend's going to, okay. The girl who's not your girlfriend
Soon to be.
is going to meet your parents Saturday
Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
while snowboarding.
Yeah. This is
Okay.
kind of a first. It's kind of a first.
Chris Cruz says InfoWars, y'all. Exactly right.
InfoWars.
Elijah Hodges says, no, PBS is totally controlled by the government. Okay.
Infowars.com.
Mighty Rhiannon says, Jake needs more entertaining news. Where's the car chases at?
Yeah,
Truth.
seriously.
Truth.
Can I get some LA TV news, please?
Truth. Chris Karn says, Tanner is why we can't have nice things. Hey, guys, look, my feelings are really hurt.
Don't.
What?
Don't. He lost his temper. Everybody does. There's no need to mock him over his feelings, dude. Come on.
Eric DeVera says,
Hey,
chill out, Tanner.
we had 900. Who's the 900 followers?
Brylark.
Brylark. Thank you, Brylark.
My guy,
Appreciate you,
Brylark.
bro. Appreciate you, my
Yeah,
guy.
Tanner, you're our guy, dude. It's all good. It's just in fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Twerp? It's just, no, I'm kidding. I
Come
can't.
on.
It's all in fun. You should probably play the music.
Yeah, before we, end Tanner.
Yeah, so we'll give away the Sox box either at 3,000 subs on YouTube or 1,000 followers on Instagram for both of us. Eric DeVera says, I follow foreign news, not for the news, but only learning another language. Truth. James Knight says, give Tanner a shout out to Mo Bamba. Too late. Where's Eric C? We need a new target. Exactly. No, it's okay. You can mock me again. I chilled out now.
Good. Now we're back.
Congrats on the enema, Tanner.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Thank you. All right.
We made a pegging joke in bed last night.
Okay.
That's how I'll end the show. All right, there you have it.
Jesus.
It was hysterical.
Dude.
Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Tanner.
Goodbye, Tanner.